Indie Film Factory. I just hope everybody's having a good day. We've all been pretty cooped up, so I wanted to create a video today to talk a little bit about what you can do in some of your quarantine time, sheltering in place time, that might be able to help you pass the time. Well, obviously, we've all talked about writing screenplays. That's a big thing. A lot of my colleagues are like, now we have time to write screenplays. So that's kind of what this video is going to be dedicated for today. One of the big things that I think is super important is to keep your screenplays simple. You want to try to keep your scripts and your concepts very simple, especially when it comes to micro-budget filmmaking. Micro-budget filmmaking, you don't have a lot of money or production assets to basically do something very convoluted. So that's the first step. Try to keep your stuff, your concept, very, very simplistic. Another thing is cut out the redundancy. I read a lot of screenplays from filmmakers, and one of the things that I get a lot is I feel like sometimes I'm rereading the same information. If it sounds like you've already addressed something in a screenplay, whether it be dialogue or action, cut it out, because the page count is important for you as a filmmaker, and just by fluffing up your script by a couple pages could be the matter of several thousands of dollars. So it's just something to keep in mind as you start developing. Another thing is don't move around too much. Anytime you look at a screenplay and they've got 5 or 6 location moves within the first few pages, every time the location changes, think of your production having to pack itself up and literally move into a different space. And that can be extremely expensive, and it costs a lot of money on the overall production budget. So try to minimize the company moves. The more locations you have, the more characters and stuff you have to move around, the more time it's going to take to make the movie, and ultimately the more expensive it's going to cost to make the movie. So you really want to try to limit that. Location moves literally can be a killer for a micro budget movie. I say more cast, more problems, right? I love actors just as much as any director, but I have to tell you, if you've got a huge cast on your set or in your script, it's more mouths to feed, it's more things that you have to deal with, and it's ultimately, in some cases, you have to add more backstory for these characters in order for it to make it work. So when you're looking at developing your screenplays, or you're looking at developing concepts, think about locations limited, think about your cast count low, and that'll help service you. Now again, we're talking about micro-budget movies. If that's something that you're trying to do, especially after we get out of all this, you want to go out and make your first film, or even like make another movie, try to think about your budget and the realities of what you're trying to do. I talk a little bit about dialogue. Dialogue is another aspect of the process that when you're writing a screenplay and a lot of talking in the movie can slow the movie down and ultimately can slow down the narrative. So again, you want to see if you can limit that stuff. Too much dialogue is like slick ice on a highway. It's pretty much like you're moving well until you hit that ice and you're almost like ready to spin out of control. So you want to ask yourself, can you show this information rather than having your actors literally say it? And if the answer is yes, then figure out ways to show what you're trying to communicate versus saying it. That's a skill within itself. But you want to try to work on that as a screenwriter, because that's going to help improve your performance and ultimately the viewer's experience. Those are my kind of talking points for those of you who are sitting quarantined right now going, what do I get to do? What do I get to do? How can I do something? Take these tips into account as you start looking and outlining your screenplay. I have a good friend, my good buddy Jeffrey Calhoun. He wrote this great book, The Guide for Every Screenwriter. This is a fantastic book for those of you who are getting started, and even for some of those of you who are actually already writing screenplays. It has some pretty great, straightforward information, and it's a quick read, very quick read. And it's also a bestseller, so be sure to pick it up, order it on Amazon, read the ebook version of it, whatever, but definitely check this book out. So that's what I have for you guys. Please be safe, be smart, be healthy, and enjoy time that you normally wouldn't have if we weren't sitting in quarantine. Peace out.